Hi. When I opened the door at 12:07 a.m. and saw my stepsister standing there in the rain, crying and clutching her phone like it was the only thing keeping her upright, I already knew my life was about to split in two. I just didn't know how bad it would get. "Please don't close the door," she said before I could even speak. Her mascara had run down her cheeks. Her hoodie was soaked. She looked smaller than I remembered. Fragile. I hadn't seen Lily in almost 8 months. Not since our parents' anniversary barbecue. Not since she'd left early after a fight with her boyfriend, Mark. I stepped aside. She walked in without another word. My apartment smelled like leftover takeout and laundry detergent. Normal. Safe. But she brought chaos in with her. I could feel it. I grabbed a towel and handed it to her. She didn't dry her hair. She just stood there shaking. "What happened?" I asked. She laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that sounds like it hurts. "He finally did it." "Did what?" She unlocked her phone and shoved it toward me. A text thread. 11:42 p.m. Mark, I can't keep pretending. I'm with her right now. 11:43 p.m. Lily. With who? 11:44 p.m. Mark, does it matter? My chest tightened. There were more messages. Screenshots. Photos of him at some bar in downtown Seattle, time-stamped. A blonde girl leaning into him. I looked up at Lily. "When did you find out?" "Tonight." Her voice cracked. "I drove by his place. His car wasn't there. I tracked his location." Of course she did. Lily was the type who loved hard. The type who ignored red flags because she believed in second chances. She sank onto my couch like her knees couldn't hold her anymore. "I didn't know where else to go," she whispered. That's when I should have set a boundary. I should have called our parents. Or told her to stay with a friend. Something safe. Something distant. Instead, I said, "You can stay here tonight." And she looked at me like I'd just saved her life. For the first hour, it was normal. Or as normal as it could be at midnight after a breakup. I made tea. She changed into one of my hoodies. We sat on opposite ends of the couch while she vented. "I gave him everything," she said. 3 years. 3. Her phone kept lighting up. "Mark calling. Mark texting. Mark, answer me. Mark, you're overreacting. Mark, come talk to me." At 12:58 a.m., she turned the phone face down. "I'm done," she said. I believed her. That was my first mistake. Around 1:30 a.m., the storm outside got worse. Rain hitting the windows. Thunder shaking the glass. She startled at one loud crack and instinctively moved closer to me. I didn't think about it. She was crying. She was shaking. She needed comfort. I put my arm around her shoulders. She folded into me instantly. Not casually. Not like a sister. She buried her face in my chest and gripped my shirt like she was afraid I'd disappear. My heart started pounding. "Lily," I said softly. "I just need to feel safe," she whispered. Safe. That word did something to me. Because growing up, that's what I was for her. When our parents got married, she was 15 and furious at the world. I was 17 and quiet. She used to sneak into my room during thunderstorms back then too. But this didn't feel like that. She wasn't 15 anymore. She was 24. And when she tilted her head up to look at me, her eyes didn't look sisterly. They looked lost. And searching. "You've always been the only guy who never hurt me," she said. I swallowed. "That's not true." "It is," she insisted. "You never wanted anything from me." The way she said it made my stomach twist. Because suddenly, I wasn't sure that was still true. I shifted slightly, trying to create space. She noticed. Her hand tightened on my shirt. "Don't pull away," she said. Not angry. Not playful. Desperate. "I'm not," I lied. Another crack of thunder. She flinched again, and this time her hand slid down from my chest to my waist. Too low. Too familiar. I froze. This was the moment. The line. I could have stood up. I could have laughed it off. I could have said, "You're emotional. You don't mean this." Instead, I stayed still. Because some part of me was flattered. And that's the part I'm not proud of. At 2:14 a.m., her phone buzzed again. She ignored it. At 2:16 a.m., it buzzed again. Still ignored. At 2:19 a.m., she reached for it. I watched her face change as she read the screen. The sadness disappeared, replaced by something colder. "What?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she locked the phone and set it down carefully on the coffee table. Then she looked at me. Really looked at me. "I need you to do something for me," she said. Her voice was steady now. No shaking. No tears. Just focus. "What kind of something?" I asked. She hesitated, and for a second, I thought she was going to ask me to go confront Mark, or help her move out, or block his number. Something normal, something messy, but manageable. Instead, she reached for my hand, interlaced her fingers with mine, and said quietly, "I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend tomorrow night." I exhaled. That was it. Relief flooded through me so fast, it almost made me laugh. That I could handle. That was harmless. I just want him to see me with someone better, she continued. Someone he can't compete with. I nodded slowly. It made sense. Petty. Emotional. But understandable. When? I asked. Dinner. 7 p.m. He'll be there. I'll make sure of it. I should have noticed the way she said that. I should have asked more questions. But I didn't. Because at that moment, I thought I understood the situation. I thought this was about revenge. I had no idea what that 2:19 a.m. text had actually said. And I definitely didn't realize that by agreeing to her very personal favor, I was stepping into something that had nothing to do with Mark at all. The next morning, I woke up before she did. For a few seconds, I forgot she was there. Then I saw her, curled up on my couch, still wearing my hoodie, one arm dangling off the side like she'd fallen asleep mid-thought. My chest tightened. What the hell had I agreed to? I checked my phone. 6:48 a.m. There was a text from Lily, sent at 3:12 a.m. I must have fallen asleep after she went to the bathroom. Lily, thank you for saying yes. I promise I'll explain everything soon. Explain what? I walked into the kitchen and poured coffee, trying to clear my head. Last night had felt intense, but in the daylight, it seemed manageable. Fake boyfriend. Dinner. Make Mark jealous. End of story. Right? By 8:15 a.m., she was awake. She came into the kitchen barefoot, hair messy, eyes red but alert. Not broken. Not devastated. Calculated. You okay? I asked. She nodded. Better. She reached for my coffee mug and took a sip without asking. Something about that small, intimate gesture made my pulse jump. So, I said carefully, what's the plan? She leaned against the counter, crossing her arms. He's going to be at West and Pine tonight. That was a lie. I knew it immediately. West and Pine didn't open on Thursdays until 9 p.m. Are you sure? I asked. She didn't hesitate. Positive. She stepped closer to me. Just act natural, she said. Hold my hand. Sit close. Maybe kiss my cheek. My throat went dry. That's it. I asked. She tilted her head slightly. What? Too much? No, I said too quickly. She smiled. But it wasn't a grateful smile. It was a knowing one. By noon, she had showered and changed into one of her dresses. Black. Fitted. The kind that makes people stare. I try not to stare. You don't have to go all out, I said from the couch. She glanced at me in the mirror while putting on mascara. I do. For him. She paused. No, she said softly. For me. That answer should have reassured me. It didn't. Around 2 p.m., her phone buzzed again. This time, she didn't hide it. I saw the name. Mom. She declined the call. My stomach dropped. Why is Mom calling you? I asked. She always calls me, she said casually. That didn't answer my question. She turned slowly, and for the first time since she showed up, I saw it. Nerves. Did you tell them you were here? I asked. No. Why not? Because they'd freak out. About what? Silence. Then she walked over and sat next to me. Too close again. They think I'm staying with my friend Rachel, she said. If they knew I was here, it would complicate things. Complicate how? She stared at me for a long moment. You really don't see it, do you? See what? Instead of answering, she reached for my hand again. And this time, she didn't ask. She placed it on her knee. My entire body went rigid. Lily, I said quietly. What? She whispered. This is supposed to be pretend. Her fingers tightened over mine. Who said I was pretending? My heart slammed against my ribs. Last night, I said. You said you needed a favor. I do. This isn't part of it. She leaned closer. Close enough that I could feel her breath. I meant what I said, she murmured. You've never hurt me. You've never looked at me the way other guys do. I pulled my hand back this time. I'm your stepbrother. She didn't flinch. Technically, that word hung in the air like smoke. Technically, we weren't blood-related, but we grew up under the same roof for almost 6 years. Family vacations. Shared holidays. Inside jokes. Technically didn't erase that. Don't do this, I said. Do what? Blur lines. Her jaw tightened slightly. You think I don't know what this looks like? She asked. You think I don't understand the risk? Then why? She stood up abruptly and walked to the window. Because I'm tired of being the girl men cheat on, she snapped. I'm tired of being disposable. You're not disposable. She turned sharply. Then prove it. The room went silent. I stared at her. That's not fair, I said. Life isn't fair. Another buzz from her phone. She grabbed it this time. I watched her face carefully. It wasn't Mark. It was a notification preview from his Instagram story. And I saw the caption before she swiped it away. Hard to compete when you don't know the game. My chest tightened. He posted that. I asked. She nodded once. That's why tonight matters. Something about her tone shifted again. This wasn't just about jealousy. This was strategy. Lily, I said slowly. What was the text you got last night? The one at 2:19? She froze. Her back still to me. You said you'd explain, I pressed. She didn't turn around. Instead, she spoke so quietly I almost didn't hear it. He knows about you. The words didn't make sense. What does that mean? She finally faced me. And there it was again. That cold, steady look. He's been telling people we've always had something weird going on, she said. That you're obsessed with me. My blood ran cold. That's insane. I know. Who has he told? Enough. I felt anger rising now. Not jealousy. Not confusion. Anger. So this dinner isn't about making him jealous, I said slowly. It is, she replied. No, I said. It's about proving him right. Her expression flickered. Just for a second. That's not fair, she said. Isn't it? Silence filled the apartment. Heavy. Suffocating. You said he was with another girl, I continued. But that Instagram story wasn't about cheating. It was about competition. She didn't respond. Lily, I said firmly, what exactly have you told him about me? Her eyes filled with tears again. But this time, they didn't look broken. They looked cornered. I might have mentioned, she said slowly, that if I wanted to, I could have you instead. My heart stopped. You what? I was angry. So you used me? I didn't think it would go this far. How far? I demanded. She stepped toward me again. Far enough that he said if I show up tonight with you acting like my boyfriend, he'll drop it. Drop what? The rumors. The room felt smaller. So I'm not just fake dating you, I said. I'm damage control. She didn't deny it. I ran a hand through my hair. This is insane. Please, she whispered. If you don't go, he wins. And if I do? She didn't answer that. And that silence told me everything. Because suddenly, this wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about jealousy. It wasn't even about her relationship with Mark. It was about something she'd already started. Something she might not be able to stop. And for the first time since she knocked on my door, I started to wonder if she had shown up at midnight for protection, or if she had shown up because she'd already decided I was part of the plan. I almost backed out. I had my car keys in my hand, my jacket on, every instinct screaming that this was a bad idea. But she was standing in front of me in that black dress, eyes glossy, jaw tight, and for a second she didn't look manipulative. She looked terrified. If you don't want to do it, just say that, she said quietly. It wasn't a challenge. It was a test. And I failed it. I'll go, I said. The relief on her face was instant. Too instant. By 6:42 p.m., we were in my car heading downtown. She reached over halfway there and rested her hand on my thigh. Not gently. Not by accident. I grabbed her wrist. Not yet, I muttered. She pulled back, staring out the window. You're overthinking this, she said. No, I replied. I'm thinking exactly the right amount. West and Pine was already busy when we arrived, which meant she had lied earlier. They did open at 6 on Thursdays. I made a mental note of that. The hostess recognized Lily immediately. Table for 3? She asked. 3. So he was already here. Lily squeezed my hand before I could react. Remember, she whispered. Confidence. They led us to a corner booth. And there he was. Mark. Perfect hair. Expensive watch. That calm, smug expression of someone who thinks he's in control. He stood when we approached. His eyes went straight to our hands. Interlocked. Wow, he said slowly. You actually brought him. Brought him. Like I was a prop. Hi, Mark, Lily said sweetly. He didn't take his eyes off me. I didn't think you had the guts. I slid into the booth beside her without breaking eye contact. I don't like being talked about, I said evenly. He smirked. Then you shouldn't give people reasons. There it was. The insinuation. I felt Lily tense beside me. Drop it, she snapped. He laughed softly. Drop what? The fact that you've been emotionally cheating on me with your stepbrother for months? Every word hit like a punch. That's not true, I said firmly. Oh, he leaned back. So you didn't call him after every fight? Lily went silent. You didn't spend weekends at his place when you told me you were with friends? My stomach dropped. I looked at her. She avoided my eyes. Answer him, Mark pressed. I needed space, she shot back. That doesn't mean anything. It means something, he said. Especially when you tell me if I ever leave, you've got someone better lined up. My head snapped toward her. You said that. She swallowed. I was angry. There it was again. Anger. Always the excuse. Mark leaned forward, lowering his voice. You told me he's always looked at you differently. That if he wasn't family, you'd already be with him. The air left my lungs. What? I whispered. Lily's hand tightened around mine painfully. I never said it like that, she muttered. But you said it, Mark replied smoothly. The waitress arrived with menus, completely oblivious to the nuclear tension at the table. No one looked at them. Here's what's going to happen, Mark said calmly once she walked away. You two are going to sit here, hold hands, play pretend. He gestured between us. And I'm going to post a picture. My chest tightened. Of what? I demanded. Of the happy couple. Lily stiffened. You said you'd drop it, she hissed. I will, he said. Once people see you've officially crossed that line. It clicked. Cold and sharp. You don't want proof we're innocent, I said slowly. You want proof we're guilty. Mark smiled. There's no such thing as innocent when it comes to rumors. Only believable. I felt sick. You're blackmailing her. No, he corrected. I'm giving her what she wants. And what's that? I asked. Drama. Lily stood up suddenly. Stop, she said through clenched teeth. But Mark wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at me. You think you're the hero, he said quietly. The safe guy? The good guy? He leaned closer. But she's been using your name to make me jealous for a year. A year. That's not true, Lily snapped. It is, he said. Every fight. Every insecurity. It was always. At least my stepbrother would never treat me like this. My stomach twisted. I turned to her slowly. Is that true? Tears filled her eyes. I just needed him to feel threatened. And now? I asked. She didn't answer. Mark pulled out his phone. Smile, he said lightly. Or I'll just tell the story my way. My hands were shaking now. This wasn't about jealousy. This wasn't about proving anything. This was about narrative. Control. If we left right now, he'd spin it. If we stayed, he'd document it. Either way, my name was in his mouth. Post whatever you want, I said suddenly. Lily whipped her head toward me. What are you doing? I looked straight at Mark. You don't get to manipulate this, I continued. You want a picture? Take it. I stood up, pulled my hand out of Lily's grip, and stepped away from the table. Take it of her, I said calmly. Alone. The smile faded from his face. That's not the deal, he replied. There is no deal, I said. Lily stood up too. You said you'd help me, she whispered urgently. I did, I replied quietly. But I won't lie for you. Her face crumbled. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just exposed. Mark lowered his phone slowly. You didn't tell him everything, did you? He said. I looked between them. What else is there? He tilted his head slightly. Ask her why she really came to your apartment last night. My heart started pounding again. I told you why, Lily said quickly. Did you? Mark replied. Silence. The kind that feels like a countdown. Lily, I said softly. What did you not tell me? She looked at me. And for the first time since midnight. She looked scared of me. Not for her, but of losing something she'd already decided she had. I didn't just tell him you were better, she said slowly. My pulse roared in my ears. What did you tell him? Her voice dropped to a whisper. I told him that if he ever left me. She swallowed hard. You already had. You already had, she finished. The restaurant noise faded into nothing. I could hear my own heartbeat. What does that mean? I asked. Her eyes were locked on mine now. No tears. No theatrics. Just truth. It means, she said slowly, that I told him if he ever walked away, I wouldn't be alone. Because I already had someone who loved me. My throat went dry. Loved you how? She didn't answer. Mark did. She told me you've been in love with her for years, he said calmly. That you were just waiting for your chance. The words hit harder than anything else that night. I stared at her. Tell me that's not true. Her lips trembled. I never said you were in love with me, she said quickly. I said you cared about me. That's not the same thing, I snapped. It was in the moment, she shot back. He needed to feel threatened. So you turned me into your backup plan? I asked. I turned you into leverage, Mark corrected with a smirk. Shut up, Lily hissed at him. But I wasn't looking at him anymore. I was looking at her. You've been building this story for a year? I asked quietly. She didn't deny it. I never thought it would spiral like this, she whispered. He started telling people we were weird, that you were obsessed. I thought if I just made it real for one night, he'd stop. By making it real? I repeated. It wouldn't be real, she insisted. Just visible. The difference felt microscopic. And if I hadn't agreed? I asked. Her silence was answer enough. Mark leaned back in the booth, satisfied. See, he said lightly. You're not the victim here, man. You're the fantasy. That did it. I turned to him slowly. You don't get to talk about her like that, I said evenly. He raised his hands mockingly. I'm just stating facts. You've been cheating on her. And she's been emotionally cheating on me. By venting to her stepbrother? I challenged. By comparing me to him, he shot back. By telling me he understands her in ways I don't. I looked at Lily again. Did you say that? She nodded faintly. I was frustrated. You weaponized me, I said. No, she whispered. I leaned on you. There's a difference. Her voice cracked now. I didn't plan this, she insisted. I liked knowing you'd always choose me. The words were soft, honest, and devastating. You don't get to decide that, I said. Her breath hitched. I came to you last night because I didn't know who else would show up for me. I would have shown up, I said firmly. Without the lie. She shook her head. You don't understand. Then make me understand. Her hands were shaking now. Because part of me needed to know, she whispered. If you ever would. The world seemed to tilt. Ever would what? She looked at me like I already knew. Like I'd always known. Choose me, she said. Not as a sister. Not as family. As something else. The realization hit, like cold water. This wasn't about Mark. It wasn't about rumors. It wasn't even about jealousy. She hadn't shown up at midnight because she was heartbroken. She'd shown up because she wanted an answer. And she'd almost gotten it. Because I had hesitated. Because I hadn't pulled away fast enough on that couch. Because part of me had been flattered. That was the crack she needed. I'm not your test, I said quietly. Her tears finally fell. I wasn't testing you, she whispered. Yes, you were. Mark stood up abruptly, clearly done watching. This is pathetic, he muttered. I don't need this drama. He tossed some cash on the table. But for what it's worth, he added, looking at me, you should be careful. She doesn't like losing. Then he walked away. Just like that. No picture. No post. No victory. Just wreckage. Lily collapsed back into the booth, covering her face with her hands. He ruined everything, she sobbed. I stayed standing. No, I said quietly. You did. She looked up at me like I'd slapped her. I came to you because I trust you, she said. You came to me because I'm safe, I replied. And you thought that meant I'd cross any line for you. I never wanted to hurt you. But you were willing to risk it. Her silence was loud. The restaurant noise slowly returned around us. Plates clinking. Conversations humming. Life going on. I felt suddenly clear. Calm. You don't need a boyfriend to prove your worth, I said. And you don't need me to validate you. She wiped her face. Are you leaving? She asked, voice small. Yes. She stared at me. Are you going to tell Mom and Dad? That question told me everything. She was still thinking about damage control. I'm not going to lie for you, I said. That's not what I asked. I took a breath. No, I said finally. But you are. She nodded slowly, as if she'd known that was the only possible ending. We walked out separately. No hands. No pretending. Just distance. In the parking lot, she stopped me. I never meant for it to get this far, she said quietly. I know, I replied. That doesn't make it okay. She looked like she wanted to say something else. Something bigger. But she didn't. Instead, she hugged herself and walked to her car. And for the first time since midnight, she didn't ask me to follow. I stood there alone under the streetlights, replaying everything. The texts. The couch. The almost. The truth was, she hadn't been asking for revenge. Or protection. Or even a fake boyfriend. She'd been asking the one question she was too afraid to say out loud. Would you ever choose me over being my brother? And the worst part? For one dangerous second on that couch, I almost had. Bye-bye.